Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a point in every life where we must make a choice. Not between good and evil, not between success and failure, but between holding on and letting go. Let me say this: holding on is easy. Holding on to pain, to people, to plans that no longer serve us. It's familiar. It feels safe. But here's the truth: the most dangerous place to be is comfortable in something that's no longer aligned with your destiny. Letting go is an act of strength, not weakness. It's one of the most misunderstood principles in life, especially in a world that praises perseverance, hustle, and never giving up. We're often taught that holding on makes us strong, that endurance is the highest form of commitment. But what we're not told often enough is that sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is release your grip, to let go of a person, a place, a plan, or even a piece of your own identity. Is not to give up, but to grow up. There is strength in recognizing that something once good for you is no longer aligned with who you are becoming. It takes maturity to admit that something that served you in a past season is now stunning your evolution. Holding on might feel noble, but it can also be rooted in fear. The fear of change, the fear of the unknown, the fear of starting over. But fear and faith cannot occupy the same space. Faith often begins where your grip ends. When you release what you're afraid to lose, you make room for what you were created to gain. People confuse letting go with failure. But failure is not in the release. It's in the refusal to move on. Failure is knowing something no longer serves you and still choosing to stay. That is not loyalty. That is limitation. It is far more powerful to walk away from what's holding you back than to remain out of obligation, guilt, or comfort. And comfort, though tempting, is not the birthplace of greatness. The moment you become too comfortable is often the moment you stop growing. Letting go requires discernment. It requires being honest with yourself. Sometimes the hardest conversation isn't with another person. It's the one you have alone, where you admit that you've outgrown a situation. When you tell the truth to yourself about where you are and where you want to be, you begin to see clearly what's in the way. And often, it's not the circumstances. It's not other people. It's your own resistance to release. You're not stuck because of what's around you. You're stuck because of what you're holding on to. There is a misconception that letting go means detaching emotionally. That's not always the case. You can still feel deeply, still grieve, still care, and still let go. The strength lies not in becoming numb, but in choosing to act in alignment with your purpose despite how you feel. You may feel sadness, but your decision is rooted in wisdom. You may experience discomfort, but your movement is powered by destiny. Emotions will pass, but purpose will remain. That's where true strength is found, in the ability to move forward through the pain, not around it. Strength is saying no when everything familiar begs you to say yes. It's choosing growth over comfort. It's knowing you were made for more and refusing to shrink just to fit back into a version of life you've already outgrown. Letting go doesn't mean you deny what something meant to you. It means you honor it enough not to let it hinder the next chapter. You take the lessons, you keep the love, but you walk forward in truth. And let's be real, it's not always dramatic. Sometimes letting go is quiet. Sometimes it's not a grand announcement, but a daily decision. A silent refusal to keep carrying what's too heavy. A private decision to stop replaying a memory. Stop waiting for an apology. Stop begging for closure. It's the strength to stop explaining yourself, stop proving your worth, and simply trust that what's meant for you won't require to sacrifice your peace to keep it. Letting go is strength because it declares that your future matters more than your past. It says, I choose me. I choose purpose. I choose to believe there is more. And when you let go, you don't lose control. You regain it. You stop trying to manage what was never yours to hold on to in the first place. You stop trying to fix to force cling. And in that moment, You become powerful, not because everything is perfect, but because you finally decided that your peace, your calling, and your growth are non-negotiable. You can't step into your future while holding on to your past. This truth isn't just philosophical. It's practical. Imagine trying to run a race while carrying a heavy backpack filled with things you no longer need. Even if you have the strength to move, you won't be moving at full capacity. That's how many people living, dragging emotional baggage, old mindsets, expired relationships, and unresolved pain into a future that demands lightness, clarity, and focus. Your past has a purpose. It teaches, it shapes, it builds, but it is not supposed to dictate your direction. Too often, we confuse memory with identity. We start believing that what we went through is who we are. But your past is a chapter, not the whole story. It may have influenced your character, but it doesn't get to control your calling. If you keep looking backward, you'll miss the doors opening right in front of you. The future requires forward vision, and forward vision can't coexist with a backward mindset. Some people stay stuck not because they lack talent, not because they lack opportunities, but because they refuse to release what was. They replay old conversations, relive old mistakes, re-engage with limiting beliefs they picked up in childhood or heartbreak. They talk about the future, but they live in the past. And you cannot build what's next while holding on to what's no longer now. There is a cost to every breakthrough, and more often than not, the price is what you're unwilling to let go of. You can't take unforgiveness into your future. It will poison your progress. You can't carry shame into your next level. It will sabotage your confidence. You can't drag fear with you into the land of purpose. Fear was never designed to guide you. It was designed to warn you. But once it becomes your compass, you lose your sense of direction. When you carry the past into the future, it clouds your decisions. You start reacting based on old pain rather than present possibilities. You avoid opportunities because something similar hurt you before. You mistrust people not because they've done anything wrong, but because someone else did. That's how the past robs you. Not just of joy, but a clear vision. It blinds you to the blessings in front of you because you're still staring at what's behind. Letting go of the past doesn't mean erasing it. It means transforming your relationship with it. It means extracting the wisdom without replaying the wound. It means choosing not to anchor your identity to a version of you that didn't know what you know now. You're not obligated to stay connected to pain just because it helped shape you. Growth says, thank you for the lesson. Now, I must move on. Stepping into the future requires room. Room in your mind, room in your spirit, room in your hands. If your hands are full of yesterday, how will you catch what tomorrow throws your way? Every new season requires space, and that means you must be willing to declutter emotionally, mentally, spiritually. It's not always about acquiring more. It's often about releasing more. And the truth is, the longer you hold on to the past, the more it distorts your sense of what's possible. What once was becomes your ceiling instead of your foundation. But you were never meant to live in repetition. You were made for revelation. You were designed for progress, not loops. So if you want to move forward, stop looking for something familiar. Start reaching for something better. Letting go of the past as not betrayal. It's obedience. To your growth, to your calling, to the higher version of you that's trying to emerge. Your destiny is not behind you, it's ahead. And every step you take away from what was is a step toward what could be. Release is necessary for elevation. You cannot rise while you're still tied down by the weight of things that no longer serve your journey. Everything in life has a spiritual and practical law of movement. What goes up must be free of what holds it down. Just like a hot air balloon can't ascend without releasing the sandbags, your life can't ascend without releasing emotional, mental, and even relational weights. Elevation demands sacrifice, And that sacrifice is often release. Too many people are asking for growth while clinging to what stunts them. You can't step into new levels with old burdens. Every next level of your life will require a next level version of you. That version is lighter, wiser, more focused. And it only emerges when you let go of what's keeping you grounded in the past or the present comfort zone. You may have the potential to rise, but if you're still attached to what was, you'll stay in the same place, frustrated and confused about why progress feels impossible. Some of the most powerful breakthroughs don't come from gaining something, they come from letting something go. Letting go of bitterness, letting go of the need for validation, letting go of the fear of being seen, letting go of the old image you created to survive so you can embrace the truth of who you are now. Release clears the air. It makes room for transformation. It shifts your energy from survival mode to ascension mode. People often resist letting go because they think it will leave them empty. But it doesn't leave you empty. It clears space for what belongs. You're not losing your power when you release. You're reclaiming it. Because when your hands are no longer full of things that drain you, you regain the ability to receive what fuels you. That's the principle of divine exchange. Surrender what no longer fits so you can receive what's been waiting for you. Elevation doesn't just require effort, it requires strategy. And release is a strategy. It is a conscious, strategic decision to strip away anything that's not aligned with your next level. That might mean certain relationships can't continue. That might mean outdated belief systems have to be replaced. That might mean letting go of control, letting go of outcomes, letting go of timing. You cannot rise when you are busy micromanaging things you were never meant to manage. If you've been praying for more, preparing for more, dreaming of more, understand that more can't enter a space that's already full. Something has to go. You can't hold on to everything and expect lift. You have to decide, do you want comfort or do you want calling? Do you want to stay the same or do you want to soar? Because soaring comes with detachment from the things that were only meant to carry you part of the way, not all the way. And make no mistake, this is not about being reckless. It's about being wise. There's a difference between quitting and releasing. Quitting is walking away out of frustration. Releasing is walking away in alignment. Quitting is emotional. Releasing is strategic. Quitting says, I'm tired. Releasing says, this is no longer tied to my purpose. When you release from that place, you don't lose. You evolve. When the time comes to elevate, the people, patterns, and perspectives that once made sense will start to feel heavy. That heaviness is a sign. It's your cue to evaluate what you're still holding that no longer fits the life you're being called to. Don't ignore that internal resistance. Lean into it. Ask yourself, what is this weight trying to teach me? What am I afraid to let go of and why? Elevation often begins with those questions. The truth is, your next level doesn't need a new version of the world. It needs a new version of you, one who's brave enough to release anything that's anchoring your soul to the ground when you were born to rise. Comfort can be the enemy of destiny. It feels safe, it feels familiar, and that's exactly what makes it dangerous. Comfort convinces you that where you are is good enough, even when something inside you knows you were made for more. It whispers, why risk the unknown when you've got stability? But what comfort doesn't tell you is that the longer you stay where you've outgrown, the more you begin to shrink to fit the space you were supposed to expand beyond. Many dreams die in the comfort zone, not because people lacked vision, but because they lacked the courage to leave what was familiar. Destiny doesn't show up in places of convenience. It's found in the stretch, in the challenge, in the leap. If you want to walk into your purpose, you're going to have to step out of what feels easy. Growth is always on the other side of resistance. And comfort, by its nature, resists change. Comfort disguises itself as wisdom sometimes. It tells you to play it safe, to wait for the right time, to avoid the risk. But often, that's not wisdom. It's fear in disguise. And fear wrapped in logic will talk you out of your assignment every time. The most dangerous thing about comfort is it doesn't always look like laziness. It can look like routine. It can look like success. You can be thriving by the world's standards and still be far from the path you're supposed to be on. Destiny requires discomfort. It requires you to leave what you've mastered so you can become who you were truly meant to be. That means walking away from places where your presence is appreciated but your growth is not supported. It means challenging systems, cycles, and sometimes even relationships that reward you for staying the same. But staying the same is not your calling. Evolution is. Comfort can make you protective of what you've built, even when it's no longer enough to hold what's next. You start managing what you were meant to multiply. You start defending limitations instead of expanding possibilities. You start convincing yourself that this is as good as it gets. When deep down, you know that's not true. That's the trap. You can't conquer what you're still comfortable with. If you want to unlock destiny, you have to get uncomfortable being comfortable. You have to be willing to disrupt your own patterns. You have to risk rejection, face uncertainty, and sometimes walk alone. Because destiny doesn't always come wrapped in applause. It often shows up in silence. In the quiet moments where you choose obedience over ease, purpose over popularity, and growth over guarantees. Comfort may offer peace for the moment, but it costs you purpose in the long run. The question is not, is this comfortable? The question is this calling me higher? If it isn't, then you're not in alignment with destiny. You're just in agreement with delay. Letting go brings clarity, peace, and power. When your hands, heart, and mind are no longer occupied with what doesn't belong, space is created for vision, stillness, and strength to take their place. The moment you release what you've been holding on to, whether it's bitterness, regret, old expectations, or relationships that no longer align, you'll notice something shifts. Things become lighter, quieter, more focused. That's clarity. Clarity is hard to find when you're surrounded by noise from old memories, conflicting emotions, or voices of people who no longer speak to where you're going. Letting go silences that noise. It sharpens your perspective. It reveals what's essential. When you no longer carry what clouds your view, you begin to see what's been waiting in front of you the entire time. Direction becomes easier. Decisions become clearer. Purpose becomes visible. Peace follows closely behind. Not the kind of peace that comes from avoiding conflict, but the peace that comes from alignment, from knowing you're no longer forcing something that doesn't fit. Peace shows up when your spirit is no longer at war with your reality. It's when your soul says, this feels right, even if it's unfamiliar. Letting go removes the internal friction caused by holding on to what your heart has already outgrown. So many people pray for peace while clinging to chaos. They say they want calm, yet continue to engage with things that stir their anxiety. But peace isn't something you get by accident. It's something you choose by subtraction. Subtract the drama. Subtract the guilt. Subtract the people who drain you. When you release what was never yours to carry, you create the internal environment where peace can actually live. And then there's power, not the kind that dominates others, but the kind that liberates yourself. Power in letting go looks like emotional maturity. It looks like strength under control. It's knowing you don't need to chase, prove, or force. You're no longer attached to outcomes that are out of your hands. That's real power. You stop reacting. You stop explaining. You stop managing perceptions. Letting go centers your energy back on what you can control. Your mindset, your choices, your growth. Letting go also teaches you how powerful your presence is. When you're no longer entangled in the past, your presence becomes intentional. You show up differently. You speak with clarity, not confusion. You move with decisiveness, not desperation. You act from conviction, not attachment. And people feel that. Opportunities respond to that. Life opens up to that. Power doesn't mean you don't feel loss. It doesn't mean you don't wrestle with the decision, but it means you are choosing alignment over attachment. And alignment always wins in the long run, because what's aligned with your purpose will multiply your peace and expand your power, not threaten it. Letting go is not about abandoning responsibility. It's about embracing right responsibility. It's knowing what's yours to carry and what's not. It's saying, I refuse to carry emotional debts that don't belong to me. It's saying, I'm done assigning energy to things that keep me stuck. That is not weakness. That is willpower. Letting go also reconnects you to yourself, to your voice, to your values, to your God-given direction. When the opinions, fears, and noise fade, you can hear clearly again. You remember who you are. You remember what matters. You remember what you were created for. And that remembering leads to restoration, not just a vision, but a power. Clarity, peace, and power don't come by chance. They come by choice. And that choice is made every time you decide to release what no longer fits who you are becoming. What's coming is greater than what's been. That's not just a hopeful idea. It's a mindset, a declaration, a way of living. It's the belief that your best days are not behind you, no matter good or how painful the past has been. It's the conviction that the future still holds more promise than the past holds memories. But to embrace what's ahead, you have to stop idolizing what's behind. Many people miss what's next because they're still obsessed with what was. They replay old victories, old connections, old feelings, thinking nothing can top it. But if you truly believe you were created with purpose, then you must also believe that purpose unfolds forward, not backward. You are not meant to live in the glory of yesterday. You're meant to build on it, rise from it, and walk boldly into a new level of impact, influence, and fulfillment. The human tendency is to cling to the familiar, especially when the future looks uncertain. But greater doesn't mean more of the same. It means better, deeper, wiser, more aligned. What's coming won't always look like what's been, but that's exactly the point. Destiny doesn't repeat itself. It evolves. So if you're expecting the next season to mirror the last, you'll miss the shift that was meant to elevate you. You have to train your spirit to expect increase, even in transition. The unknown may feel uncomfortable, but it often carries your greatest breakthroughs. New opportunities, new relationships, new dimensions of growth. They don't show up until you clear space and make peace with the fact that you're not going back. You're not going back to who you were, what you had, or how it used to be. And that's not loss, that's alignment. Faith is the fuel that bridges what you're leaving and where you're going. You can't see all of it yet, but that doesn't mean it isn't real. The greatness ahead of you is already set in motion. You just haven't reached its coordinates yet. You don't need all the answers. You just need enough trust to take the next step, because what's coming will answer the questions your past never could. Letting go is hard when your identity is tied to history, but your identity was never supposed to be rooted in a season. It's meant to be rooted in your purpose. Your past was preparation, not a destination. Don't confuse experience with finality. Just because something meaningful happened doesn't mean that's all there is. The same God, the same power, the same potential that brought you that moment is still working in your favor. But now it's aiming higher. What's coming is greater, not because you're trying to erase the past, but because you've outgrown it. You've gained new wisdom. You've endured storms. You've sharpened your focus. And all of that was for something. You didn't walk through what you walked through just to end up stuck in memory. You walked through it to gain what was necessary to carry what's coming next. So don't settle. Don't shrink. Don't assume the highlight of your life already happened. You've only scratched the surface. What's ahead of you was crafted with the version of you that's still being revealed in mind. And if you've got the courage to release the old, you'll have the capacity to receive the new. Because the truth is simply what's coming is greater than what's been. In the end, the art of letting go is not about loss. It's about liberation. It is the courageous choice to release what no longer serves your highest good so that you can step boldly into the fullness of your destiny. When you let go, you reclaim your power, clear your vision, and make space for the extraordinary to enter your life. Remember, holding on too tightly to the past only keeps you chained to yesterday, while true strength is found in the willingness to trust what lies ahead. Embrace the freedom that comes with release, for it is through letting go that you rise, grow, and become everything you were meant to be. Your future is waiting. Don't let fear of the past hold you back from walking into your greatness.